Okay, Taylor, so we need to look at your project because it's got some funky things going on, but you're actually pretty darn close. So, um, when we're looking at your project, a couple of things, you can see this dotted outline. If it doesn't need to return text back to the user or ask them to input text, then it shouldn't be dynamic or input. It should just be static. So this is just regular static text. Same thing on any of these buttons. If we come in, we can change those all to static because they're not to be input or return back to the user, which is dynamic. So let's see what we've got going on here. So on this first screen, you have a stop action, and then you have this button start, and it has a capital B. So let's go back over here in ActionScript, and it is jumping us to, when it hears a click, it's going to go to and play the frame label called username, which is here, capital U. It should work. So it's acting glitchy because it has a problem with, if I play it, well, let me just do it. If I play it, see how it says scene 1 layer actions frame 121 line 10. This is telling you that there's an access of an undefined property called username. So it's weird because back here you had a frame label called username, and so that's what you could assume it's doing, but it probably isn't. What it's doing is you have this go to and stop on username, and then you have this username here. So I think you've just got things a little bit confused. So back here, let's go ahead and make this a little bit clear. Username screen. Let's call it that. So we know that it's jumping to a particular screen. So we'll come back here and call this username screen. Okay. And then we're going to come over here, and this is where we have the input name, and we have this called input name. Now my input name on here was called username, and you put yours, see how mine was called username? You put yours as input name, which is absolutely fine. It's just that now wherever I put username, you need to put input name. So what we're going to do is we're going to check here and look at all these things. We have to do variable, my name, string. So we're just saying something called my name. This container called my name is a string, so it's a string of text, and anything in the quotes is going to be that string of text. Then we have this button for the instructions, and then we tell it for the button it needs to go to and stop on the instructions screen or whatever, and then we need to define this my name with the input, or the what is it called? God dang it, I'm okay. This name, the property, the instance name. Gosh darn it. So it's just that you're missing some stuff in here. So let's go ahead and figure this out. Let's go ahead and just copy what we have going on over here. So we're going to put variable my name colon string, and then we're going to put equals quote quote, and then end it with a semicolon. So now we have, we need the instructions. So this didn't have an instance name, so we'll call this instructions underscore btn. So we'll go back to that ActionScript, and we're going to say instructions underscore btn. It's going to listen for a mouse click, and then it's click to go to and stop at frame. And we're going to have it go to and stop at, where are we going to have it go to and stop at? Looks like we need an instruction screen right here. So let's say we have an instruction screen right here. We're going to right click or add a new blank keyframe, and we're going to do add instructions here. And if you don't have an instruction screen, it doesn't necessarily need to jump to the instruction screen. And we need to make sure this is just static. So there we know the instructions are going to be here. So we'll do instructions screen. All right, so we don't need any of this other stuff for the instruction screen. We're just going to have it live on just that one frame, which is frame 122. So instead of saying it's going to username, because that's going to jump us, it's actually the same exact page. So we're going to delete this and do instructions screen, and there we go. So now the only thing we have to do is we have to define my name. We have to tell it what that container contains or what that container is. And that is this particular thing in here called input name. So we'll go back up to that screen and we're going to just add it in with this function. We're going to define it in here. So we're going to say my name equals input name, because again, you gave this an instance name of input name with a capital I, and then we're going to put dot text and then the semicolon. All right, so once we do that, we can go to the instructions screen. Now, if you have dynamic text here, like where it comes back and says, hey Maria, hey John, hey Taylor, this is what you do in this particular project, then you can definitely have it here. You can also have it when they get to the game. So in here you have this stage purple dress that's going to do a drag and drop, and I think these click to drag, release to drop, and then purple dress, and then I'm going to click on, this is a bitmap, so it should be a movie clip purple dress. I don't know why it's so big. You might need to go in there, maybe because it was a picture, I don't know. So anyway, that should all work, the drag and drop. You just need to do it for each one of these movie clips. And again, I don't know why it's so big. It should only be the size of the actual sock. So one thing you can do is you can do modify, break apart, and then that's just weird. I feel like that's weird. Right click. So working with bitmap images, you might need to just hand draw something or crop this down in like Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever, so that it only has that piece of illustration. So if we try this out now, all right, so we've got the animation, so you can tell there's not an error coming in right now. You got your animation. This should drop us on the start screen. Now the problem with the start screen or the next screen after start is we didn't add a stop. So we need to do stop. Oops, we need a semicolon there. All right, so let's try it again. So this is also saying fonts need to be embedded, so make sure any font you have is embedded. So in here I can now type my name. See how the capital J didn't show up? It's because I haven't embedded this font. So if you get any of those errors, that's what's happening. So now this instruction should go to the instruction screen. We should have a stop here. We should return back that dynamic text. So when you do that, when you come in here, build the dynamic text container, you're going to give it its own instance name, and then it's telling you what script you should have on that screen. So this is the instance name you give it. I put instructions user. You can say user's name or input name, or no, don't use any instance names that you already have. So you can call this enter name here as a property or an instance name, and then that makes sense. And then you put what particular text you want in that screen. So because my game was the astronaut game, it has something of that nature, and I actually use the username twice. You don't have to. You can say welcome Taylor and then have instructions after that. So and then this is just saying on that screen you should have a button that then takes you to the next part, which is for you when it actually starts allowing them to drag and drop the different dresses and socks and whatever onto the doll. So I think the game idea is really creative, and you were actually really close with it. You just had some errors in terms of adding that script. Hopefully this helps.